In today's video, I want to go over the different troop types that there are in the game, and I'm gonna make a detailed explanation of each one, so hopefully this helps you decide on which troop to focus on. Like, bear in mind, even if you're in Season 1, you've been playing for like a couple weeks, you decide that you want to focus in, I don't know, archers per se, then you see the vid and you decide to swap to another thing, it's still early, you can do it, there's no problem about it, okay? The issue is when, like, for example, me, you know, like I have a Mage Awaken, right now I go and suddenly decide that I want to play mages or infantry, you know, and my best hero is Garwood Nika. Like, at this point there's an actual problem for me to swap, but if you're still like, you know, a couple heads invested, you still have a long journey ahead of you, so don't worry about it, okay? The order about the troop types will be mages, archers, cavalry, and infantry, okay? Remember to use the timestamps that YouTube has below in the video, so if you only care about one troop type, you go there and it's easier for you and you don't need to put all the time to watch all the video, which if you do, I appreciate it. Straight to the topic. Okay, first one we said is mages. So what I'm gonna do is first explain the unit here in game and see the different things it has. Then I'm gonna show like a small presentation I made, so you can, it's like a summary of everything. So first of all, mages, what can we say about them? They have the longest attack range in the game, which that makes it like super safe to play. Like, usually if you have a competent team with some archers, some infantry, you will not be the first thing to be targeted, okay? The only issue is that usually a lot of people play mages, then there's no front line, and at that point it's a bit of back and forth on whoever gets hit. But overall it's a pretty solid unit, okay? Now they have two special skills. First one, it pretty much just tells you that you deal 100% counter-attack damage, which pretty much it means that, for example, like counter-attack damage, if you're hitting someone, you attack, then he attacks you, and then you counter-attack him, and then you attack him again. Okay, if you're not targeting that enemy march, you're just dealing counter-attack damage to him, okay? In this case, because you are a ranged unit, you deal 100% counter-attack damage, okay? We check the second skill, which is kind of the uniqueness. So pretty much you grant a boost to one surrounding friendly legion every 3 seconds while in battle, increasing their attack by 20%. Now, it's not always attack, okay? I'm increasing attack because I'm with the Wilderberg faction. If you pick League of Order or if you play Spring Wardens, it changes the buff that the mages have. League of Order, these ones give you HP, and this one gives you... no, sorry. Where are the mages? Here. Nope. Here, finally. They give you defense, okay? So defense, HP, attack, okay? The best faction for mages is League of Order, there's no doubt about it, okay? But yeah, so pretty much these will be the two unique skills of the mages, pretty standard. And now let's go to the presentation I made so you can see more in detail my opinion on this troop type. Okay, so as you can see here, I made the recollection of the different things that I consider positive on the mages and the ones that I consider negative, so you can get like a resume of everything. So first pro is longest attack range, as we said. You have a lot of AoE damage skills. It is true though that like one combo, I think only one doesn't really have AoE damage, but pretty much all the others do. You have, for example, Magic Bomb, you have Thunder Allergy, you have several artifacts that deal AoE damage too, which is pretty nice, okay? These units are always based on the best talent tree in the game, in my opinion, for damage output, which is the skill talent tree, so that's pretty good. They are easy to control, okay? Like the actions per minute is not high, to be honest, like it's probably the lowest. That makes it super well suited for phone users. Like if you mainly play from your phone, this is a very good unit for you because the controls get way easier, okay? More good thing is that this unit fights with the main blob, which means you are protected and you're supported by your teammates, which is always a positive thing. Then we have like strong G1 heroes all game, like Lilia. It is true though that it's a pay-to-win heroes, and Belin. Those heroes are used from now on until the newest seasons we have, okay? Every single player that mains mages uses them, so that's super good because it's an investment that you make on the early game and carries you through the whole game. They are decent at behemoths. They are neither the best, neither the worst, okay? There are some behemoths that if you go full mages you will not be able to do, most of the times, like if you're on a decent active kingdom, because some behemoths, for some reason, the devs decided to nerf the magic damage they receive by first 50%, so usually other troop types that I will mention later are prioritized for those behemoths, okay? But yeah, they perform decent. And they, like, due to the range, like, you're kinda safe. They are usable in all forms of PP, like choke points, fighting between cities, open field. Like, they are super universal in those terms, so that's pretty good. And again, provides buffs for the other units, as I showcased, the different buffs, so pretty decent. Now, for the negatives, it's the weakest unit in a 1 versus 1. Like, in a 1 versus 1, you will probably lose against any other troop type, even infantry. Like, maybe not like a Garwood medallion, but if you're getting, like, in a 1 versus Gorgeous Cavalry, for example, you probably end up losing. Falls off in Behemoth DPS in older seasons. Like, in older seasons, every single Behemoth, you just see it filled with archers, because that's the best unit for Behemoth, so that's one of the negatives that, yeah, like, if you go full mages, you might be excluded from the frames. I personally don't care about the frames, but maybe you do. Some heroes are more focused towards support. It is true that Thunderling, for example, and Thaleia, they seem to have switched a bit the focus on the heroes rather than as much as like AoE damage, more towards support or debuffing the enemy, for example. They still deal damage, don't get me wrong, but it's not like fully, like Belly in Lilia is pretty much, I target you and I'm gonna deal a shit ton of damage, okay? The newest mage heroes are a bit of a, like, half DPS, half support. And our cons, it's not meta for rallying or garrison, so if you're like a massive whale that you like mages, look, like, there's better stuff to rally and garrison with. Low skills expression, to be honest, is probably the lowest. The gameplay is pretty simple, okay, like, APM is low skill expression, like, there's not much that you can really do, okay, with, like, mages. Is just pretty much see the enemy, target the enemy, kill the enemy, that's pretty much it. Lowest march speed, like, they're really slow to move across the map. If you get caught out of position, okay, like, if you're, for example, your main, like, let's say you have your mages here, your armies here, you're trying to go, and there's nothing to protect you here, if a cap player comes, you're absolutely dead. Like, you will get one shot, your hospital will fill, and you're gonna be done so, okay? So you need to play around your team. And they have a low counter-attack damage, which means, for example, if you're targeting someone and then 3 people target you, yeah, like, you might trade decent with your target, but the other 2 guys are gonna feast on you, okay? So that's, for me, pretty much the pros and cons of the mages. Let's move into the next unit, which is gonna be archers. So for archers, what do we have here? Okay, so for range we have medium, so that already tells you that they have lower range than mages. First skill, again, is the same as any range unit, they deal 100% counter-attack damage, and the second one, bear in mind this is as specific to the Wilderburg, and this skill is pretty much why almost all Wilderburg, like all archers players play Wilderburg, which is you create a, like a flat 5% damage dealt increase, that's about it. I have to give a special mention though, whoops, here. So Springs Wardens have like a special buff for them, which sacrifice march speed to increase physical attack. Look, I'm not an archer main, and I know almost every single archer main goes with Wilderburg, so yeah, but I think it's worth mentioning that they have a bit of a uniqueness, but yeah, overall I think the consensus is the 5% all damage increase is the best, plus you get how is it called? Here, the Wyvern Riders, which is another form of marksman. So pretty much if you end up filling your hospital with your regular spearmen, you can still use the Wyvern Riders as an offset archers. Let's go to the archer presentation and see the cons and pros of that unit type. Okay, so here we are. Again, pros, highest DPS, like the DPS is damage per second, so this is pretty much why they are the best for behemoths. They are constantly out the hits per second, like maybe a mage, for example, hits you for like 30k with a skill, but if you accumulate every single turn, every single damage that is dealt, archers will be on top, okay? They have high counterattack damage, and I'm pretty sure it's the highest one. In Season 1, clear example, Kinara Husk. If you have that and some people come to swarm you, you will see that you're dealing like 1.5k damage to them without you targeting them, okay? It's absolutely disgusting, but it's one of the pros of archers. I consider that they have strong artifacts for damage, and like some of them are AoE, like Shadow Blades for example. Whenever you see that shit coming at you, like you know you're gonna get hit hard, and plus it's AoE, okay? So pretty, like I consider archer artifacts in terms of damage pretty good, okay? They have a special variation in different seasons, which is long range warfare, which pretty much what this does is it reduces by 20% your attack, but it gives you the range of mages, okay? You will see that one of the cons is the positioning of this unit, but this just solves it. Yes, you lose a bit of damage, but you still have so much more damage that you become like you literally become a mage on steroids, okay? It's absolutely crazy. That's why literally every single time there's long range warfare, everyone that uses at least one march of archers, they just straight up go and pick that up, okay? It's mid APM, you need a bit more of micro, okay? It's not as like simple of mages due to the range. If you have long range warfare, then yes, this drops to low APM, but if you don't, you need to really be careful about your march not overextending, because if you overextend, you become the front line. If you become the front line, you get surrounded by 40 people, you get nuked, and you literally just get you get sent home. For funds, I consider this unit average, so it's not ideal as mages because it requires a bit more of control input on the game, but I don't think it's like super hard per se. So for me, it's a middle ground, okay? Like if you want super chill gameplay, go with mages. If you want something a bit more engaging, more risk, more reward, you can go with archers, okay? It's the top unit for behemoths, there's no doubt about it. If you check any old kingdom, they literally is full Magrat side the archer for behemoths, okay? It's usable in all forms of PvP. Is it true that it's not as usable as mages, for example, for choke points, unless they have long range warfare, because then you need to get closer, and getting closer in a choke point, yeah, like if you become the target, like you literally will explode, okay? And a good thing is they give defense break debuffs, for example, or the season 2 archers, they increase their normal attack damage plus the crit chance of normal attacks, which is pretty good. But defense break is nice because you apply like you reduce the enemy defense and you're swarming him with archers, increasing the damage. So for me it's a pretty decent debuff, especially like if it's 5%, like in some talent trees it's like meh, but in the case of archers it's way higher, so it's pretty decent. Now for the cons on this unit, in my opinion, you really depend on an infantry frontline, okay? I think this is the main weakness of this unit. It's not even that the unit is weak, it's that it depends on another unit that is barely played, okay? So, like, let's just pull up the paint for a second. Let's say, for example, you're facing, okay, like your army is here, and the enemy army is here, okay? And we're gonna call this the death zone, okay? Everything that enters here gets killed, okay, because that's where mages have range, okay? We're gonna use blue for mages, okay? Here you have the blobs of mages, okay? So if you have no long range warfare and you're an archer, which is color red, you will have to enter inside this kill zone. If you have no infantry, the moment you enter this kill zone, you're becoming the main target of this massive blob of mages, which by the way deal 2 AoE damage. They're gonna literally melt you. Now, if you have infantry, which is a melee unit, they're gonna be fighting here, okay? So then you're not anymore the main frontline, so you can free DPS. And if you can free DPS with archers, like, bro, you're literally annihilating them, okay? They have so much damage that is crazy. Now, due to the small amount of infantry, then whenever this dies, like maybe it's one guy, 2 guys, then guess who, like all these people, guess who will they focus? It's gonna be you, because your mages are still farther away than you, okay? So, like logically, whenever this front line dies, the next front line becomes the archers, then they die. So that's the main issue I have with archers, which is not even the unit itself is bad, at least in my opinion. It's just you depend in infantry, and infantry is not really play, okay? Second cons is you're easy to misposition your unit, and if you do, like, let me tell you, you're gonna feel the pain. They're not currently meta for garrison or rally. They are good for, well, this is a mistake. This should be on the pros. So in some like choke points you can use rallies to push through to see if the enemy swarms it. Archers are kind of ideal for that if you don't have, for example, Skull Gorge, because due to the high counterattack damage and having 2 mil units inside that rally, whoever swarms that is gonna feel the pain, okay? So it's kinda decent for that tactic to push choke points. March speed is not as horrible as mages, but it's neither great, it's like a middle point, so yeah, mediocre. I noted this is a weakness, like it kinda sucks that your best and strongest combo, which is Margaret Saida, which is borderline the best combo in the game, it literally seems to be performing better with Celestials than with Archers. But we're still due to see that combo with long range warfare from the big whales who have this combo awakened. Okay, so yeah. And the other thing is barely any AoE damage coming from the heroes. Like, yes, you have some artifacts with AoE damage, but the heroes is pretty much single target. Okay, so that will do for archers. Let's move into the game again. Now, next unit, Caps. This is my main unit, okay? Again, here we can see we have a little bit more of skills. So we have the highest march speed, okay? This is specific to the Wilderberg faction, which is pretty much you deal 5% more seb wounds to the enemy, which that translates to merits, but you receive 5% more seb wounds to yourself. If you know how to play Caps and you're strong, this is good. If you're like, I don't know, like you're not really performing good, try to move away from this because this is just hurting yourself. Now, Unyielding Rush. This is the most critical part of Cavalry. You probably seen this before. So pretty much whenever you are at a certain distance and you attack with your caps, they will enter a charge mode. Whenever they collide with the enemy, they get instantly 1k rage, which is enough to fire the skill. So it's pretty much like, boom, a nuke. And then you gain Valiant, which pretty much increases your damage dealt up to 75% extra for 10 seconds whenever you're getting hit with range attacks, okay? It has a 10-second cooldown and you reduce by 80% the damage that you receive while in the charge, but at the same time you can not deal counterattack, okay? This, by far in my opinion, is the most like broken skill in the game. Like, it's so strong. And then here, 50% counterattack damage only because we are melee, okay? Again, special mentions. Now, where is it here? Riders have this cap unit, which is a flyer, and whenever the enemy has no, when the enemy is isolated, which means it doesn't have friendly troops inside the circle, they increase the all damage, okay? But bear in mind this unit has less attack than all other caps, so for a 1 versus 1 against other caps, even with this buff, you probably end up losing, okay? And then we have the Riders, which is a medium range cavalry, okay? This is a tricky unit. I don't like it because I prefer the playstyle of like, I don't know, like what you could call like heavy cavalry, which is like go in, make massive charge, deal a shit ton of damage, than the harasser slash like pokey playstyle that Riders can provide. But yeah, that's a bit up to you. Like, it's a bit up to you exactly what type of cavalry you want to play. And if you're not going 5 cap marches and you have some mages, then go with League of Order, because these caps are the same as the Wilderberg, except for the 5% increased seb wounds on you and on the enemy, okay? But yeah, here, by the way, you get 3% extra legion physical attack. So that's pretty much the skills of the caps. Let's move to the presentation. Okay, here we have the presentation of Cavalry. Okay, so one, highest burst damage. You need to understand that burst damage is like assassin type of role, so you're gonna deal a shit ton of damage in a short window of time, okay? But for example, if you don't manage to kill that enemy march in that like few seconds, that March might end up out DPSing you long term, okay? A strong skill in the game, as I said, Unyielding Rush for me is absolutely crazy, I love it. Strong artifacts for AoE damage, to be honest this is kinda crazy for caps, like Swordland's Blade, Kingslayer, the Urak artifact, the Neya artifact, like every single damage artifact has AoE for caps, which is nice, and the damage output is quite high. For me, this unit is the highest APM, actions per minute, there is in the game, okay? Like, you need to be constantly moving, you need to charge in, pull back, retreat, re-engage, pull back, look for another target. You can, like, if you remember, I said you reduce the 80% damage when you are in Unyielding Rush. So, for example, what I do sometimes is, if I see someone casting Infernal Flame on me, I will re-engage someone else, so I trigger Unyielding Rush, so I reduce the damage of the Infernal Flame by like 80%. For me, this is the most engaging, fun troop type, but you need to put like the actions per minute, high skill expression, like it's not an easy unit to play, okay? That's why I consider it bad for phone users. You need to do a lot of movements, you need to be on point. Like, of course you can play just full yeet, but you're gonna be out of troops in 3 minutes. Like, if all you do is grab your caps, look at the target and just send them, you're gonna be absolutely shit, okay? Even if you're a whale, yes, you might nuke one guy, but you're gonna be out of stamina in literally 5 minutes, okay? So yeah. Highest march speed, as we said. I consider they have strong pets, to be honest. Like, some of the cap pets are really strong and perform super well. New mechanic of camouflage in the newest heroes, which pretty much renders your unit invisible. Like, people need to really be looking for you to pay attention to that small shadowy thingy, which this opens a new window of opportunity for, again, more skill expression. And then Season 1 heroes are strong until end of game. Bakshi Emery's stable, like probably the top 2 or 3 cam march in the game, super good. And then they're good debuffers, to be honest. Like, you have Theodore with a 30% HP debuff, you have Forondil, which pretty much doesn't let the enemy attack, applies defense break, march speed reduction, so pretty decent there. Now for the cons. Requires patience and proper timing, okay? You need sometimes you just need to not engage. And this is hard for people, especially in a game where you want to have fun, okay? Sometimes the best play with caps is to not fight and just wait for a better opportunity to arise, okay? And I know this is hard on people, so I listed it as a con. This unit is kinda useless in choke points, like, I say it's kinda useless, but it's borderline useless. Like, if you cannot go around a bridge, for example, I don't know, like, you can yeet them, but again, people will see a cap, you will get surrounded by 40 people, you don't have the survivability of infantry, neither the counterattack of archers, and you will literally explode. So for choke points, they are kinda bad, okay? Currently they are not meta for rally garrison. It's not as much as they are bad, is that because the rally and garrison meta is infantry, they kinda don't work. Easy to fill your hospital. If you don't play properly caps, you're gonna be with a full hospital in 1 hour. It's horrible for fighting between cities, okay? Elf Riders is a bit of exception because you have the range, but melee units between cities, they're kinda bad, okay? Another thing I listed as a cons is that T1s are for gathering. So if you need gathering units, you need to halt your production of cavalry to train T1s, which kinda sucks, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. And last one is, it requires skill, what we talked about before, and then you ideally want to coordinate with other cap players. Many people seem to not value the numbers game, okay? If you have 200 mages in front of you and you yeet with your 5 cap marches, you cannot expect the outcome to be to perform good, okay? The numbers are just telling you you're gonna get wrecked, and this is what happened a lot in early game. I mean, a cap main in my main, on my first account in BDO, and I'm a cap main now, everyone was saying that caps were shit at the start of the game, which they might have been a bit weaker, but the issue is, again, if you don't have BTX echo levels of caps, if you charge into the enemy mortar ball, you will explode, because it's at the end is a numbers game, okay, and it's completely logical. You cannot expect within 5 marches to kill 200, okay, so you need to play with your teammates. So that's it for caps, and let's move into the last unit, infantry. Okay, here we are, infantry. For me, this unit is the most important one and the least played one, which is kind of funny, okay. Skills, first one, Berserk Charge, okay. When you're approaching the target legion, you increase your march speed, and whenever you collide with the enemy, you reduce its march speed by a whopping 75% for 8 seconds. This is super hard, okay. And then with this charge, you can stop the Cavalry charge, but only once every 12 seconds, so you gotta time it properly. Plus, if you stop it, you play this debuff, your range units will target the cap, he will explode. Okay, super good. Special uniqueness of infantry is the best unit for engineering, so they get 15% engineering increase when destroying buildings. Perseverance, each time this legion loses 3% of its units, their physical defense increases by 1.5% up to 50% extra defense, okay? So pretty much the lower your HP goes, you become a bit more tanky. It's a bit to try to balance out so you don't go like, okay, I'm full tank and suddenly you just get hit twice and bam, you're just going down super fast. Now last one. You can deal 50% counter attack damage, okay? Because you're a melee unit, but then you have a 50% to 1 stack of Ironclad, okay? Each stack of Ironclad reduces range damage taken by 5% for 15 seconds, max 8 stacks, so a total of 40% range damage reduction, okay? This is important, it's an anti-swarm mechanic. As you can see here, it can only be triggered by the same legion 1 time, so this is pretty much because infantry gets swarmed a lot in the front line, so this is to try to increase their survivability. If we check the infantry talent tree, it's the same here, so surround damage taken reduction of up to 75%, and in like old kingdoms, like infantry literally melts even with all of these together, okay. Let's move to the PowerPoint or presentation. So here we have infantry. Pros, I think in my opinion this is probably the best duelist unit. It beats archers, it beats mages, and because it counters cavalry. Like again, maybe a Garwood Medellin loses versus a Emir's Bakshi, for example, but a Gorish Skogul will probably beat everything in a 1 versus 1, okay? High survivability in the game, like you really feel like a tank. It's not like in Rise of Kingdoms where tank, infantry, archers are just the same. Whenever you're with your tanks, like you can tell that you're surviving longer. Their counter-attack damage is decent, it's probably the second best one, and it's important, because otherwise you're not really dealing damage to the swarmers. Low APM, I know this might be a bit contradictory, but it's true. Like most of the infantry gameplay is either stay with your range units to avoid cap charges, or just literally grab your march, drag to the enemy, and just full send it, okay? Now, high skill expression if you're using blinks, okay? So there's this mechanic with infantry where you equip like a cavalry artifact that allows you to blink, and what you will pretty much do is you blink your infantry into the enemy mortar ball, so you block their retreat. Now I say that it has high skill expression because you need to time this properly, you need to try to grab as many marches as possible, so there's a bit of like skill expression in that, but it's not as high as with cavalry. I consider it good for fun users for the same reason I stated here. The gameplay is kinda like basic, you grab your infantry and you send it to hit something, you know, like you don't need, for example, with Unyielding Rush to retreat, re-engage, retreat, etc, etc. It applies the march speed debuff that we mentioned, which is good to support your team. Has a strong pest, like it has the strongest pet for Rally Garrison, which is the Moonbear, is literally the meta. And then you have the Poison Lizard, which is like a season 1 pet that like it's super universal and like makes your infantry deal way more damage, okay? Again, what we mentioned, the only unit that has damage reduction towards swarms has probably like it's debatable between Magret Side and Skull Gorge, okay? Magret Side is a bit more universal because you can use it with 2 troops, but Skull Gorge is like, bro, they are so strong. It's a Rally Garrison meta, it's in my opinion fundamental for any PvP fights. If you've seen some of my videos regarding the infantry, you will see how whenever infantry shops on the field, they switch the momentum of the fight. So for me that's super important, and it's the best unit to trade merits with. If you're trading with someone or you're with one of your farm accounts, a guard with Eliana is the best march you can do to trade merits with. Now, last thing, cons. It's extremely expensive due to being the front line. You will die a lot, okay? Like with infantry, you will die a lot. And whenever you get a lot of sub wounds, that's a lot of elixir. When elixir is gone, that's a lot of resources. It's hard to get merged with. I think this is one of the main issues with infantry. Like, no matter how hard you try or tank, the damage output is not really there, and you're getting thrown by so many people. So I don't know, I heard from some main players that they struggle to empty, for example, the shop. Again, easy to fill your hospital. Another thing is probably the highest death rate unit due to being rallies over some meta. When you need to garrison and rally with the same troop, like, you can tell you're gonna lose a shit ton of them in a KVK, okay? Most resource intensive unit, like, they are slightly more expensive for, like, who knows what reason. They have underwhelming season 1 heroes, to be honest. Like, I don't know, like, are they horrible? Not, but they are neither good. So you have season 1 with mediocre heroes, you have season 2 with no infantry heroes at all, and then you come at season 3 with Gorsh Cobble, and you're like, you go from like being like borderline useless, just a punchback, to literally start wrecking people with Gorsh's Cobble. Again, low damage. You only sadly need 1 to 2 maximum for Behemoth, which means if you're like the third best tank on your alliance or your fourth one, you're probably not taking part in any single elite raid Behemoth. They really depend on the pet, especially the poisonous lizard. Increasing that counter attack increases your merits, improves your merit traits by a lot. So they really depend on having like a strong counter attack pet. Most of the artifacts are defensive or / utilities if you consider the blinks, so you cannot really expect damage output from your artifacts. And right now it seems that the meta is shifting to where they either release like an infantry, I mean, for example, see, like, people are playing infantry as utility. The most used artifacts for infantry is one, Spirit Torque, because it's a massive AoE taunt, which is what you're looking for, people to target you, and if you don't have that, you use blinks to blockade the enemy peoples. But like, I don't know, damage artifacts for infantry, almost no one uses them, okay? Like, the other artifact, for example, is the Shield Rise, where you pretty much do a charge, you move the units backwards. So yeah, like, you can tell people are more focused towards utility than damage output with infantry. I hope this was helpful. I hope this makes you decide what type of troop you want to play, and yeah, catch you in the next one.